Welcome to episode 136 of Outside the Circle, a podcast dedicated to new and upcoming country artists, musicians, and songwriters. Today, we have a very special episode in store. We have 3 returning guests for our 5th Circle Back session, Ross Flora, Chad Bushnell, and Kathleen Fee. But before we get to them, Brian, it's November 1st. Happy 5 years of Outside the Circle.
I know, man. What a trip, dude. You know, it's amazing that it had only been 5 years. It really doesn't feel like it's been that long. And, you know, from the first time we hit, you know, the go record button and blindly called, you know, Tori as our first guest. And, yeah, and we've just been on the road and hitting its, you know, pretty good since. And, yeah, it's a trip, man. It does not feel like it's been 5 years, but man, it's been cool. It's been real fun.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like 5. And you know, a lot of growing pains in the beginning, starting with Skype and then, you know, COVID and then Zoom and trying to figure out all the in-betweens and during all that. The countless times you've had to talk me off the ledge of wanting to quit. So thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the biggest thing that I think needs to be addressed in all of it is, you know, it's been 5 years, and you know how I get wrapped up in my head about like we should have 300 more episodes and X, Y, and Z, and but I think we've been able to successfully do this for 5 years because we've been selfish and done it on our own terms. And, you know, we take the summers off, we miss time here and there, and we don't feel bad about it. And thankfully, those listening have always continued to keep coming back and understand that we have things going on. And, you know, for us to bring the best product for 5 years, you know, sometimes we need to take care of that stuff too. So, yeah, I think that's been my biggest learning curve in all of this, is how cool it's been that we've been able to do it at our pace and our wants and needs.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, you hit it right. The fact that we've been able to, you know, kind of do this, we put out, you know, a great product. Yeah, man, we started this prior to the end of the world, so prior to COVID happening, and Zoom wasn't a thing, right? No. I mean, it was, but like nobody used it. Like it was just like, oh, who's used Zoom? Like everybody always heard of Skype, so that's what we used, right? And it's so bad, it was so bad. And then Zoom took over, and yeah, that's when we started doing these things over the video, which, you know, made the interviews so much better. You know, you get, you know, that FaceTime and stuff, and yeah, it's so good. And yeah, I mean, like you said, you're taking the breaks, taking the time that we need to, you know, this is our fun thing, this is our hobby, this is the thing that we love. And you know, I think our fans and the people that listen to us, you know, they're in that same boat. They want to hear and see these new artists, and you know who's coming up next on the thing. And I mean, you know, one of our biggest artists, you know, Red Clay Strays, are, you know, they are doing it. You know, they are, you know, no longer outside the circle guests, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what we set out to do. That it was. I mean, you know, I like to take personal credit for their success, but it really is. It's been so fun and cool to see people grow as artists and grow as friends, and you know, the people that we've met along the way. And you know, there's a lot of things that we probably do now that are thanks to people that have stepped up and helped us along the way. And yeah, no, it's really cool. You know, we always talk about we started this because of the opening acts and X, Y, and Z, but I think, you know, deep down we could probably also say we started this as our way of staying connected in music. You know, kind of realizing that those dreams have passed us by, but getting to live vicariously through artists, and you know, having the conversations that we do. And we put out the episodes, but some of the best conversations happen outside of the record button. And, it's cool that we have those things to look back on for ourselves on top of putting out good products. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's been fun.
No, you're right, man. I mean, this is definitely an outlet, for myself, especially, I used to live with like one of the best musicians, I've ever met in my life, Grammy winning engineer, everything. So we used to talk music from, the time we woke up to the time we went to bed. I mean, we talked music, everything there was to do about music, recording music, playing music, writing songs, everything. We talked music all the time. When he passed away, part of that had also died with him. Like I didn't have that outlet to talk music again. And so this has really opened up a huge part of me and a great escape of, my daily job and everything and all that has to entail. And to be able to just talk music again is so exciting and so enlightening for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, it's just the sense of, you know, belonging slash community slash just kind of the friendships that's been so cool to be able to talk and I don't talk to anybody, so the fact that I talk to people once a week is actually a miracle. But yeah, man, it's been a hell of a 5 years, and I'm looking forward to, I don't know, let's do it another five.
Yeah, we'll see how the ball rolls. But yeah, I mean, this one's cool. We are in the as if we planned on this, the fifth circle back session on our 5 year anniversary is pretty serendipitous. But no, so yeah, I hope you guys like it. We're gonna dive right into all three interviews. Hope you really enjoy catching up with Ross, Chad, and Kathleen.
All right, so we are so excited to welcome back from episode 89, Ross Flora. Welcome back to the show. How have you been? How's the last year and a half been for you?
Hey, thanks for having me back, guys. Yeah, I'm coming back around the circle here, but yeah, last year and a half has been great. I mean, just keeping on writing more and more songs, getting more and more songs recorded. It's kind of been a new since Shoulders of Giants, and that was my first ever release. It's kind of definitely taken on its own career path on this, here, and I'm happy about it. So
Yeah, we're definitely gonna jump into kind of a couple different things you've done over the last year, and
yeah.
before we kind of go into the music side of it, or I guess the release side of it, I should say. How has it been kind of being? I know when we first talked, you mentioned getting out, playing a lot around Nashville. You're out pretty consistent. How's the live show been for you? You still plugging along on that?
Oh yeah. That's it's kind of like my 9 to 5 in a lot of ways, playing the cover songs and stuff like that. But yeah, I do about 10 shows a week still, and it's been just keeping on with it. I switched some clubs, but for the most part, they're all the same as they were. There may be different nights, different times, but I got a good family of folks I work with in these clubs, and yeah, it's been a blessing. And just taking little steps forward. I mean, like I started doing some songs a little higher that I never. 10 years ago, you would have said, "Oh, you'll be able to hit that one day." I'm just like, no way. It's just little by little, just trying to get better each and every day.
Yeah, I like that. I like that that 9 to 5, comparison. It is. I mean, the tourist side of Nashville is its own business, right? It's not a music city that, all those musicians think about. It's a tourist town.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you need those 9 to 5, get in. But I like the idea of using it as a tool to practice, to extend your range and stuff like that. It's great. Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's good to hear.
It's like going to the gym is kind of the way I look at it too.
Yeah. So you mentioned one thing I don't think we've ever really talked about with anybody really on the show. You mentioned, kind of working with different clubs now and things like that. How does that process work in terms of like are you playing like what's the, I know there's a word for it. Like when people play in Vegas, what is it? Like
A
residency?
residency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like is that kind of like that same mentality? Like you're filling a slot for X number of weeks or months or whatever the case is.
Yeah, that's the way I've always kind of looked at it. There's some, I like picking up shows with people just randomly throughout the week, and stuff. But yeah, my main like slot of shows is, I've been playing them for years now.
Yeah. So like what are some of the venues that you're playing at consistently? Where could people usually find you?
So I've been playing at a place called Cerveza Jack's on Second Avenue for like 7 years now, just different nights, but on the weekends and stuff. And really love it in there. I mean, all the people work there great. I played the Luke Bryan's bar, which is owned by another club that kind of is an umbrella. That I play a lot of their clubs, but I play at Luke's 3 days a week right now, and it's a lot of fun, and know everybody there now too, and it's always fun to go into work. And I also play a place called my friend opened up a bar called MJ's, a chill spot that's up near Printer's Alley in Nashville, if you ever hear. And so it's a smaller club, but it's like super, intimate. And I love playing up there. I do there 2 nights a week. And so yeah.
No, that's awesome. And having that consistency, like you said, you get to know the people that are there too, the employees of the place themselves. So that's probably nice, getting that familiarity and that's pretty cool. All right, cool. So let's talk about releases, what you've been up to since last time you were on. So we had you on, I believe it was January, February of 2023. So Shoulders of Giants just came out. Since then, another EP, As the Crow Flies, as well as Part of Me, which came out a couple months after Shoulders of Giants.
I think it was in May of 23.
Yeah, it was pretty close to that, which was the collaboration with Blackbird Studios. So kind of first as a whole, how has the reception been to those EPs, and just kind of how things have been going with the releases?
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting, just building more and more with each release and all that. And people seem to love the songs, and that makes me super happy. It's just been all up here. I mean, it's all been like uphill in a good way, and just slowly each time a new song comes out, more people are listening. I see a little bump in my numbers and all that. So just the grind, there's grassroots in it,
Yeah. I mean that metrics of becoming successful, of watching numbers grow on a stream feed is got to be the most agonizing thing. So I mean, I guess my question to that is, how do you deal with? Do you pay that much attention to that, or are you still just like, this is the music I need to create, and that's that?
Hey, I wouldn't say as much as some other artists do. I can't just try to keep my nose to the grindstone, like you can get so just swallowed up in that, like, oh man, my numbers aren't doing as well this week or this month, and then start overthinking it, and then that, it gets in your head. And so I mean, I've always just liked to just do the work, and then whatever happens, happens. And just keep working hard. Usually pays off for you,
Yeah, that's like always kind of been my thing too. I mean, even when we started this podcast, for the first month, 2 months or so, all we did is sit there and just watch, be like, how many listeners did we get this? How many did we get this? And then finally I was like, all right, we gotta stop. We gotta stop doing this shit. And I was like, we literally just need to release and don't ever look at the numbers. Like our audience is either going to grow or it's not going to grow, but either way, we're going to keep releasing episodes. So
right. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that you brought that up too, because I listened back to the episode we did last year, and there's a good 8-minute rant on the technology side of it, the numbers, and what the record companies are looking for, and what the the streaming numbers, the follows, the likes,
for sure.
So it's funny that you brought that up, right? Because that's literally, we ended that interview talking about that, and now here we are again. So
some things never change, man. That's what we're living in. I don't think it's going away.
No, not at all. we mentioned that part of me came out right behind Shoulders of Giants.
Yeah.
How did that process go? How did getting to work with Blackbird Studios come about? Like, kind of take us through that because, for those that don't know, Blackbird Studios is pretty legendary in its own right. So,
Oh yeah.
like, how did all that come about for you?
One of my best friends, Angela Gonzalez, was a student at the Blackbird Academy. So they have like an institute there, academy, and they kind of just give you the real world, like hands on. You come out of that academy, you can work in any studio in the world at that point. And so yeah, she was a student there, and it's their final project every year. Every student has to kind of bring in somebody and record a session with them, and they get you got to see that you can actually do it. They have to lead everything, really hands on. And I was blessed. Angela asked me to come in there, and I knew from before she even started the academy. Yeah, I mean, she was going to learn some stuff, but she was solid as a producer and an engineer and all that. Before we were just like, well, let's have some fun with it because I don't think there's going to be much of a issue, going on. Like, well, why don't we try to like, get as much meat off the bone as possible on this opportunity. And so we contacted Blackbird and we were like, hey, could we like actually release this? I know this isn't what sometimes y'all do, with the academy students. And they were all on board with it. They loved the idea. And yeah, it was just a win-win for everybody involved. Got to go into Studio A, which is, I mean, any big name artist you can think of, from pop, obviously country, obviously rock and roll. I mean, even like hip hop artists have worked in that studio. And yeah, to go into Studio A with two of my best friends, Mr. Jeremy Pearl and Douglas Gross, and my dad was playing keys, and we had him in there. So it was the four of us just in Blackbird Studio A recording. I mean, we all talk about it still all the time. It's just like that was one of the best days of all of our lives right there. Yeah, had a great time doing it. We got to record 2 songs, which is another thing that they sometimes don't allow you to do in that situation. I was like, yeah, we're just gonna knock them out, and then like let's release them.
Right. No, I think that's cool. I mean, Blackbirds. My cousin had a studio that was actually right next door to Blackbird, and he always kind of gave me the understanding when I was going through audio school and into engineering. He would say, these recording studios, they're like gas stations. They're for hire, right? You get hired basically like a couple of hour block or whatever, and what you do in that time is, it's your money, it's your time, that time. So obviously it's probably a little different with the academy, but yeah, to be able to either work it or at least use up as much of that time as possible and come out of that with 2 full projects is pretty smart.
yeah. I mean, I was stoked to be able to do it. Like, say thank you, Angela, so much. And,
yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, I'm glad you were able to do that. And I know it kind of worked out. We talked last time about how those songs kind of came about just a bit too late to put on Shoulder of Giants, but it was nice that you were able to kind of follow up that project with something so well. It sounds very personal to you that you're able to have that experience, and especially you mentioned your dad and your buddies, and that's all. That's all awesome. Kind of speaking of your dad, I think that's a kind of a good transition. We're here because we want to talk about your newest single, Santa Ana Wind, released earlier in September. How did that song come about for you? And I mentioned your dad because if I'm not mistaken, he was a co-writer on that as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so that song came about, I think that writing date, it was in 2023. So I've been holding on to it for a minute, but yeah, I had a co-write. I pretty much have a thing. My buddy Troy Kemp, who I write a lot of songs with, it was basically just like every 2 weeks you come over in the morning. We just, we'll write a song. We were on a roll, and then my dad was in town visiting and doing some business out here, and I was like, man, do you have like Wednesday morning? Like, are you busy Wednesday morning? And you want to come back here and do a co-write and all that? And He's written a ton of songs back in Virginia. He's never done like a Nashville style co-write, which isn't that, yeah, nothing crazy, but like, but he, yeah, and he was all about it. And, you know, we sat here and we were like, man, we want, yeah, like, what should we write this song about? And Troy came in with this like really kind of moody riff, you know. He was like, I'd like to write something over this, you know. And so I was like, I think we can do it. And I was like, I don't have any songs just about, you know, like just about singing about a girl. So I was like, I mean, Dad was like, why don't we do that? You know, and just doesn't have to be always this big introspective song, you know, just write a cool song. It's badass about, you know, just some lady walking into a bar and stuff and brag, you know, and rolling down the road and all that. So, yeah, I mean, 3 hours later, we had the whole song done. We had it written and we had a demo of it ready to go. And yeah. And then from then on out, we just, I just recorded everything with the drums and did the mixing and then the mastering on it. So it's all been done in-house right there. I'm real proud of that.
Yeah, and you know, like we said in the our original interview, is, you know, you come from an entire household of music, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
You know, to be able to keep that quite literally in-house is pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, to have your dad, you know, step up and step into a Nashville co-write. I mean, like you said, it's more of the lore of it versus it actually being something really crazy, you know.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, that's cool, and I love the song. I think the song is cool. It has that your sound mystic kind of feel to it, and I'm into it.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and I, you know, I'll piggyback Brian. I love, you know, you kind of mentioned it's kind of just straightforward to, like, you know, it's a song about a girl, right? And sometimes we get lost in the I don't want to say the imagery, in the like double meanings and the you know, all that. Like, I like that it's just straightforward. This is what it is. This is what we're singing about. This is what we're talking about. I think there's a lost art. Everybody's trying to be like fancy and like you know, kind of touch different avenues, but just straightforward. I dig that.
Yeah. Not everything has to be super deep, you know. It's like, it was like, let's write a rock song. Just make it, you know, a rock song, blues rock song.
Yeah. So I do want to. So like I said, I listened back to our original episode earlier. We talked about songwriting and specifically the idea of co-writing versus solo writing. And you know, a year and a half ago, you were pretty adamant about wanting to write yourself and, you know, kind of having that you know, your own touch on it. You know, obviously Troy Kemp coming in the picture and your dad as well. But you know, kind of how's that progressed for you? Are you still about more so doing it yourself, or have you been getting out and co-writing more?
Yeah, I do both now. I do a lot more co-writes. I try to do about 2 a week, you know, and just constantly going. And it's definitely a learning curve, you know, like you got to realize what you need to be in the co-write. Usually I just do one-on-one co-writes, you know, just 2 of us, but I've been in some where it's a big group of people and it's like, okay, well, my normal role of what I'd be coming up with cool, catchy stuff here, you know, or something like that. Whereas in this co-write, I need to just have like a bunch of facts and be constantly on Google, like so we have some reference points, and or just be writing down, you know, what everybody's saying constantly. And then, you know, just kind of as like a word bank that you can go in later. And then like when you're on verse 3 and you need a line, but you're stuck, you can go back and look it up. So yeah, and just, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I've had nothing but awesome experiences doing co-writes this last year and a half. And even before then, you know,
Nice.
I'm not afraid of them anymore. I guess that might be the ticker right there, because I was just so anxious, you know, when you're getting started and you get like serious songwriters coming over. And so yeah, it's been a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you know, to jump into that world again, the lore of it, of a Nashville, co-writes are massive, and some of the craziest songs, the best songs have come out of those, amazing co-writes. And yeah, to be a first timer, a novice songwriter, or whatever, to get into that world and try to be like the open up and make it all kind of emotional and all that stuff is hard.
Yeah. I was explaining to somebody the other day too. It's like, man, you become friends with somebody so much quicker writing a song. Like you are by no means a stranger after you write a song. I mean, just like even if it's not a super deep song or anything, like you get to know the person so much through that, just how their brain works, like what their brain is coming up with to say, to write down, So that's a huge blessing too. My friend group is, exploded with all these, new folks I have in my life that, I feel like I know beyond the surface, as friends.
Yeah, that's true. Because like when you do have really good friends, like just like a simple look or like you just already know the way that their brain is thinking, and so when you're into writing a song and on paper you get to read what their brain is thinking is
right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got a little anxious when you were talking about group rights. My brain, my ADD, my ADHD, I can't focus to begin with. Like sometimes even the three of us is hard for me to pay attention. But I can't imagine sitting in a room with noise and just people talking and singing and music. I'd be like, what's going on?
For sure. Yeah. It's frantic in there sometimes.
Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, we'll play Santa Ana Wind at the end of the interview here. But yeah, as you know, we're in September. Yeah, September 2024 here. So what kind of what's next? Anything you got coming on down the line that you're
Yeah. So Santa Ana Wind is the first release. Probably we're gonna stick with 6. That seems to be working out for us really well. So 6 songs, they'll be spaced out with the new algorithms and stuff. We're trying to figure out a good way to get the most bang for, most push for, what we can do with it and get it to most people's ears. And so they'll be spaced out, but there'll be 6 songs on this project. And then at the end of them, there will be like the EP kind of release there after all the songs are already kind of out as singles or however you want to say it, But, so that's first up. And then I've got just more and more songs on deck and just keep on adding up. Yeah, just keep storing them up. Try to get on some festivals next year, maybe hit the road. I'm not crazy about doing that. I did that a lot when I was younger, and I'm just kind of like, I like sticking around town and being near stuff, I mean, so yeah, other than that, I mean, just keeping on with that. And winter's coming, so that'll be a nice time to just like relax, breathe a little bit, and then that's when I tend to write songs or whatever. I'm not just frantic going around, town.
Yeah. Nice, man. No, that's it sounds like a good time. And for the folks that are new to our podcast and since the first time you were on in 23, where can they find you online?
So Instagram, Ross Flora Music. Facebook is just Ross Flora Music as well. And then there's ross-flora.com you can go to. The YouTube is, Ross Flora. TikTok is Ross Flora Music, so just, yeah. There are many Ross Floras, so you can just kind of type it in and it'll come up. But
yeah. Well, we'll kind of close out the same way we did last time. That we gotta get those streams and those likes and those follows up.
Come on. Help me out, y'all. Help me out.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was a pleasure catching up again, Ross. It's like I said, we've been following along since you were on. It's been a good year and a half of seeing what you're up to, and you kind of can't wait to see what you continue to do here, especially, you know, you mentioned the next handful of songs coming into the next EP here. Um, but yeah, as we bring this to a close, why don't you introduce Santa Ana Wind for us? We'll throw it on and we'll get everyone listening.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for having me again. All the best luck to y'all. I look forward to seeing y'all's numbers grow and as well. So, and for all of y'all listening out there, this is Ross Flora speaking. This is my new song, Santa Ana Wind, available on all platforms, streaming and downloading.
Walks in with that John Wayne swagger, black hat, leather clad, rattlesnake boots. Her eyes are throwing them back off daggers to every damn guy in the room. We're more grit than the gravel on a back road. One more battles and she's got scars. Her shovel head shines like a tombstone mines on a ride or die highway hard. No one knows where she's going or where she's been. Ain't no one riding out of sight like a king of that white line queen. Like a wildfire, she came blowing in. Yeah, and she's burning like that Santa Ana wind. Got wings on her back from shoulder to shoulder when we fight than a junkyard dog. Drinks last call whiskey like a freight train. Yeah, like a weight she has a bear that crawls. No one knows where she's going or where she's been. Ain't no one riding out of sight like a king of that white line queen. Like a wildfire, she came blowing in. And she's burning like that Santa Ana wind. She'd be worth a broken heart 1,000 times. No one knows where she's going or where she's been. Ain't no one riding out of sight like a king of that white line queen. Like a wildfire, she came blowing in. And she's burning, she's burning, she's burning like the Santa Ana wind. She's burning.
We are so excited to welcome back our episode 93 guest, Chad Bushnell. Welcome back to the show. How have you been?
Hey, been good. How about you guys?
Good. Yeah, it's been a while. We had, so episode 93 was March of 2023, which means we probably talked to you maybe January of 2023. So we have about a year and a half or so, a little over a year and a half to catch up on. So yeah. How's everything been? last time we talked, you just released Whiskey to Work as a single. And then since then, Whiskey to Work as the album was released, and a couple of follow-up singles, including the radio, and then the one we're going to talk about tonight. But kind of starting back from the album, how has the reception been to all those releases, and what's been going on with you?
And it's been great. I got to say, this year has been the best touring season I've ever had. So, I mean, I feel like the single release, Whiskey to Work, the album release, has really led to some great shows for the summer. So we had to just start last shows this last weekend, and now we got a little break. Gonna go about 3 or 4 weeks off, and so really, I would say it's been really helpful for my touring, the shows, and Whiskey to Work hit 100,000 streams. I'm pretty stoked for that. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you still just on the California side, touring up and down?
Man, kind of California. A lot of Oregon dates this year. I think we had 12 to 15 Oregon shows, which was crazy for us. And pretty much California, Oregon, Nevada this year.
Nice.
Hitting that hard. I actually did an East Coast tour. I did a North Carolina, South Carolina, Nashville run, and that was great. And so next year we're going to hopefully start off with going to Arizona. That's going to be some new territory. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we talked a lot in the first go around about the whole California country, Bakersfield, Dwight Yoakam, Ben Haggard. We talked a lot about Ben in that interview. Having made your way to the East Coast here, doing the North Carolina, South Carolina stuff. I'm curious if you maybe noticed kind of like I don't want to say like a difference, but kind of like a cultural shock within the country world of playing shows here compared to playing back home.
Yeah, I'm hoping next year I get to do more back east. I really enjoyed that. So many nice people. Every time I go to Nashville, I feel like I have more friends in Tennessee than I do here. Everybody seems so cool. And it's definitely a different culture deal. We did a show with Dirty Grass Soul, who's a pretty big band in South Carolina. We kind of became friends, and so that was pretty neat. They introduced me to some people, and so yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely want to have you more on the East Coast over here. I feel like you're tucked away up in that. I guess you're not considered Pacific Northwest, being in California, but in that region. So we need to get you out this way a little bit more. So kind of sticking with touring, that was actually where I wanted to go to next anyway. You've clearly been busy playing all over the place. I kind of want to jump into the future though. I saw that you put on your dates for 2025 that you're going to be playing a cruise. Kind of curious how that opportunity came about, and any experiences with cruise performances up to this point yet?
Man, so yeah, glad you asked that. This has been like 8 or 10 years ago. I was in college. I guess I'm dating myself. I was in college, and we were playing anywhere we could in the college days. I didn't anywhere, and so I ended up playing this private. Well, it was a public party over in Petrolia, California, which is the middle of nowhere, right on the ocean. I mean, you can literally walk to the ocean from Petrolia. Beautiful spot, kind of on the Lost Coast. And I played their 4th of July party for about 4 or 5 years. And about a group of 30 people from that town go on a cruise every year. And so they requested that, hey, there's a group of 30 of us, and we want our local guy, Chad Bushnell, to go on the cruise. So I got to do it in 2019. Then COVID happened in 2020, and they're just now getting it back. So I'm stoked to be back on it. They asked me back. So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So, is this like large ship type of thing, or you said 30
Yeah.
folks?
Well, so there's the party that we played for. There's a group of 30 that go on the cruise, but there's thousands of people on the cruise, and
Oh man.
great exposure. Get to that. Last time I was on it, even as a fan too, and I got to eat dinner with Daryl Worley,
Oh, cool.
had lunch with Neil McCoy. So I was just like, man, this is just pretty, both super approachable guys. I had a couple beers with Eddie Montgomery, and so as a fan, it was just a great experience too. But then getting to perform 5 shows on there was just a plus, so. Yeah.
Nice. So is this like a music cruise type of thing?
Yeah, it's Country Cruise in 2025, and Trace Atkins is going to be the big guy on there this year, and I think Jared Neiman's going to be on there.
Nice.
Colleen, who, Garth Brooks' daughter, and she's awesome. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I saw Jared Neiman on the list. William Michael Morgan,
Michael Morgan, yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to blank there, but yeah, he's gonna be on it. And then yeah, Garth's daughter. I saw her maybe about 6 months ago now. She was out in Pennsylvania over here, and she's so good. That's gonna be that's gonna be a hell of a time out there, being stuck on a boat and getting to kind of rub elbows with all them, and not even from them, but you also said, like, from a fan perspective too, it's such a cool concept. I always wanted to do one of those cruises, like just go and experience that, but I don't do well on boats, so I'm gonna stay clear of that.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's a blast, but you got to kind of psych up too, because it's just nonstop. There's times where I had to kind of just sneak off and hide in my room for an hour and just kind of chill. It's overwhelming. I mean, you get on the cruise after I perform a show or two, I'm talking to people for hours, and then you eat a lot usually, and drink a lot, apple juice, and it's quite an experience, man.
Nice. And are you bringing the band out for that one? Is that can be full band? Is that just you? What does that dynamic look like?
It's going to be full band, I think, for the most part. I'll probably be acoustic in a few places, but I'm going to bring a couple Nashville guys, one guy from home in California, and just going to kind of, be fun.
Nice. That's awesome. So that's fall of 2025. So I'm sure you'll be busy hitting the ground until then. I mentioned at the top that since we've last spoken, it's been a album, a single, and now we're here with your next single. So Imperfect Prayer, I believe it's just recently released, only maybe even a month old, if that even at the point. So kind of let's start with the overall on that song to begin with. How did that come to be for you? What was the inspiration behind that song and getting it out there?
Well, basically, I had some successful country Christian songs before that. I got to have 3 #1 Christian country songs. And so after, Thank God's been one of my biggest songs besides Whiskey to Work. And I went in kind of say, hey, we need something to follow up with Thank God. And so we started, pushing ideas to each other, the guys I write with. And Corey Lee Barker, Mark Bernowski, and Mark Rome, I think, were the writers on that. And we all kind of collaborated in Imperfect Prayer and became the idea. So we just sat down and wrote it. And I'm really happy with how it came out, actually. I had a good producer. And so that made the difference,
No, it's a cool song, man. And like from the production side, it's it's real clean. What's so nice too about that genre, I guess you call it genre, you're a country musician, but country always has its foot in the church too. So it's kind of it's that nice little I guess, I don't know, happy accident, right? That you're in 2 genres at once,
Yep. Yeah, it's good. I grew up performing at Cowboy Church a lot as a kid. My parents went there, and then my great grandma, went to just a regular traditional, church, I'd say. And she played piano there at the church, and so ever since I was about 5 or 6, I always just, so I just grew up doing that. So Christian country is kind of a special thing to me.
Yeah. I've over the last, I don't know, maybe year or so, I've talked to a handful on the podcast over the past year or so that, I've kind of been finding my way back into, I used to go to church, was big in church, went to Catholic school, was very heavily involved. And then, as you get older, you kind of put one foot out the door and hit the ground running. And I've been finding my way back a lot lately. And hearing this song puts me, like Brian was saying, that the 2 genres, I feel like anybody who's trying to get back in, like, this is like a good transition in that, where like you don't feel like you're fully inside in the worship band and the whatever, but you kind of have that bridge to gap. And I as a song as a whole, I absolutely love this song. And yeah, I like a good, clean sound, and there's no hiding what you're doing in the song, both production and lyrically and message wise. Like it's yeah, I love a nice clean sound. So I'm all about this, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've always kind of said that too, right? There's like, I love the idea of the musicality in the emptiness or the lack thereof instrumentation, like in the deadness of it or the airiness of it, some people will say. I think there's so much power in that I think a lot of people, they tend to put too much stuff onto songs, especially in the world of digital music now, where you can just keep stacking tracks, and then it ends up just, killing itself. So no, man, it's great creative control. It's awesome.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So Imperfect Prayer just came out. But now that it's out in the world there, what's next for the song itself? Are you doing any like videos for it? Or you promoting it around, and what's kind of coming down the line for it?
Well, first, I'm trying to do some radio promotion because I just really think that, I want people to hear it. And I know my Christian country stuff, it's gotten popular down in the Bible Belt, down that way. And I really want to do some more touring down. And that's why this year, I did the South Carolina, North Carolina thing. I really want to expand that. And the radio promoters I use usually promote mostly in that area, all, Texas clear to Tennessee, and then the whole southern states right there. And it gets played over here. I mean, I'd say there's a little bit of a Christian country scene mixed in over where we're at, but it's also, a lot of Christian rock too. So, I don't know if they'll really play me on K-Love, but people ask, I get asked a lot about my Christian country songs. So that's why I try to put one or two out a year, because I've just decided to say, hey, people seem to like it when I sing Christian country. So I'm like, I'll give my fans what they want, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's important, right? That one, the fans are following along and want that stuff, but also two, it's who you are too, right? So you're not, we always talk about authenticity, but you're not reaching for something that's not you either. So it's a good balance there, and yeah, you should definitely keep doing it. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So with like I said, with Imperfect Prayer out, well, I guess we're kind of coming to an end here on 2024. I don't even know what year we're in, 2024. We're kind of coming to an end here, but what's coming on down the line? Anything you want to touch on that you have coming up?
Man, I'm gonna be releasing another single. Last summer, I had the chance to write with Brian White, the songwriter Brian White, and that was that was pretty cool for me to get to write with a hit songwriter. And so I'm gonna release that song next instead of a Christmas song. I didn't get my stuff together to get to Nashville and record a Christmas song, and even though I had a few, and I said, you know what? I said this song, it's called "We Ain't Done," and it's an inspirational song about trying to keep your relationship going, And I think that'll hit home for people during the holidays, and the hook in it is, we're a lot of things, but we ain't done. And it kind of was really about my wife and I, we have a lot of differences too, but that's that's how I ended up writing it with Brian. We're a lot of things, but we ain't done. And so I'm going to release that. And then I'm really focused on my hometown show, November 16th, Saturday in Red Bluff, California. Ben Haggard's going to be on the show with me. Olivia Harms, who's a Texas country singer. So it's my big annual show where I get, usually we get 300 people there or so, sometimes more. And nice. I get to play at the State Theater, which is always an honor. And so I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice, man. And, since, what was it, episode 93, we may have picked up a few extra listeners, but you want to let them know where they can find you online and how to follow you?
Yeah, Chad Bushnell Music on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And, of course, all my music's Chad Bushnell Music on Spotify, iTunes. My website is chadbushnell.com. And so, yeah, that's the main places they can find me. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, man, I can't I'm looking forward to the next thing, the sound of that. We ain't done that relationship kind of goal type. So I like the idea of doing that around Christmas. The holidays are supposed to bring people together, but that's not always the case, and could add a few extra strains in the relationship. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I dig going outside the box and trying to, for lack of a better word, kind of get back to the roots of their relationships, right? And yeah, it's a good time for that. I look forward to it. So let's yeah. I mean, Chad, it's been a pleasure catching up. Episode 93, like I said, that was March of 2023, so it's been quite a while. So
Yeah.
we're glad to have you on, and let's do this again soon. Why don't you go ahead and introduce Imperfect Prayer for us, and we'll throw it on for the listeners.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm really excited about this song, and wrote it with Corey Lee Barker, Mark Bernowski, and Mark Roma in Nashville, and I'm excited for you guys to hear it. Thank you.
I can see you're down there on your knees, rehearsing what you want to say to me. I think you're overthinking. Just let it all spill out and be still. Know I'm listening now. I just want to know what's on your heart. I will always meet you where you are. There's no need for fancy words. Just tell me what it is that hurts. No such thing up here as imperfect prayer. Father who art in heaven suits me fine. Sometimes I'd like to hear what's on your mind. No matter what the question, I promise I won't laugh. All you have to do is ask. I just want to know what's on your heart. I will always meet you where you are. There's no need for fancy words. Just tell me what it is that hurts. No such thing up here as imperfect prayer. I just want to know what's on your heart. I will always meet you where you are. There's no need for fancy words. Just tell me what it is that hurts. No such thing up here. No such thing up here as imperfect prayer. I can see you're down there on your knees, rehearsing what you want to say to me.
All right, so we are so excited to welcome back from episode 125, Kathleen Fee. Welcome back to the show. How have you been?
I'm great, Ronnie and Brian. Thank you for having me back on the show. It was an exciting time for Brian the last time I was on the show. He was about to have the baby, and
Yeah.
I'm glad to meet you because you were sick the last time. So thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah, I listened to the interview with you and Brian, and I said, you know what, man, I missed that one. We need to make this happen soon. So I'm glad we're here. But yes, it's finally getting to meet you has been wonderful. So yeah, looking forward to today.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. So yeah, you mentioned you and Brian were chatting last time. So since then, you have released Glitter Gold as a single, and then since then you've released the entire EP of Glitter Gold. How has the reception been to those releases since then?
It's been great. Released Glitter Gold in the early spring, and then did a video for that. So it's been kind of nice to slowly release the tracks and videos to go along with them. The morning after the night before, and a really fun video with that followed Glitter Gold. And my recent single is Look Both Ways. And I did something a little different. I did a bunch of like shorter videos with the release of Look Both Ways, but it's been an amazing journey, and it's just been a blast.
Yeah, that's like kind of a new technique, right? I think Kip Moore did something like that for one of his albums. He released like 30-second clip bits or like 45 seconds of like the song, and they were just like short videos or whatever. And it's like fishing, because you're just like, here's a little bit,
Yeah, it's like baiting everybody, or I should say, I think our attention spans have gotten so short.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to kind of see the difference in response by doing it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the attention span, that's funny. So we just recently started really diving into the video side of the podcast too, with posting on socials and all of that. And now that I could see the insights or the metrics or whatever you want to call it, that the attention span of how long each video is being played for is wild and kind of scary, how little time there actually is given to things.
Yeah, you got to grab the attention while you have it, and like otherwise it's gone. Everyone just keeps scrolling, so that's okay. You live and learn.
Yeah, it's kind of demoralizing though, because you put so much work into it, and you're like, you watched it for 3 seconds, and that was it.
yeah, it's all right. One of the videos is up to 9 seconds now, so we're moving in the right direction.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. So you've definitely been busy, between the music and the videos. Along with the EP, you also had a couple of release parties. One, I believe, was in New York. I believe Montauk.
Surf Lodge.
Yes, yeah, the Surf Lodge in Montauk, and then the other being in Nashville. So, kind of how were those events, and what kind of take us through that process of putting them together, especially obviously we know you're from this area and have ties to New York, and but kind of picking that location and Nashville and all that.
Yeah. Well, Montauk is home for me. I guess I spend my summers here, and I have a lot of great friends here, and so the timing of the EP release just kind of ended up being, in the summer. So I was like, well, and of course the band, my Nashville band, was jumping at the chance to come on out to Montauk. So it kind of happened that way. I was considering New York City, but because it was still summertime and I was ready to celebrate it and bring the music out to, my Montauk people, as well as, my Celtic Cross from my band's, people. The Surf Lodge was an amazing venue. It's a great music venue. So that was kind of like my celebration party. And there was just a lot of love and good energy in the room. And so I went down to Nashville. I rehearsed with the band down there. And then we did the Nashville show. And then 2 weeks after that, in September, I went down to Nashville, and we did a different kind of, it's more of a showcase at the Analog, which is a beautiful music venue as well. That was more of like a showcase of the music, because there was a lot of music people in the room. So a totally different like vibe than the Surf Lodge. Equally amazing. And, it was just great to be able to try to put my best foot forward and show the work that, I've been working on for the last year. So I'm super proud, and it was a blast.
Yeah. And so I want to start with the Nashville one and work backwards. So Danielle actually sent us the information on it to have us come down, but being in New Jersey, and Brian with the newborn, and I was actually out of the country, so it would have been a blast to get down there. But it looked like fun. I saw the videos that you had posted afterwards, and I know the one in New York, you had a couple special guests as well. Yeah, no, it looked like it was just a blast, and I'm glad that all came together for you.
The Surf Lodge show I ended up having a friend of mine who's played with the Eagles, Don Felder, was coming into town, and I didn't even think to ask him to come on up and sit in. And he happened to be in my backyard when the band and I were kind of running through the set just acoustically, and he was like, "Oh man, it sounds so good." And I'm like, once a musician, always a musician. It's hard to keep musicians off the stage. They're usually chomping at the bit 99% of the time. Yeah. So I tapped him on the shoulder, and I was like, "Well, Don, if you want to get up and do a song with me, I would be like honored." And he's like, "My friend Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers is in town." He's like, "If Chad does it, I'll do it." So literally an hour before the show is when it came together. And then he's like, "Let's do a duet." I'm literally walking out the door, and I'm like, I don't know all the words to the song you're going to sing. And he's like, "You'll figure it out." So it just ended up being just one of those, just one of those things you can't really plan. And it just kind of came together, and it was just such a treat for, the audience that was there for my party. So I'm so grateful.
What song did you do?
He did, what was it? It was, now you're putting me on the spot. It was, "She's my pride and joy.
Oh, nice.
She's my sweet little baby, and I'm her little lover boy." What is it? Pride and Joy.
Yeah, Pride and Joy.
That's what it is. Yeah. So I took the second verse and completely made up all the words and had fun with it.
There you go.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, yeah.
But that's what's like you said, once a musician, always chopping at the bit. That's when those, not only just memories, but that's when like the magic happens, right? Like the fact that he was there, the fact that you were able to, he was able to be part of that, like with you and for you and support you in that way. Like, that's such a, I feel like the musical world has a tendency to be more, I guess, supportive. I don't know if that was the right word I was looking for, but more supportive, like of, your peers and your friends, and of his caliber, anybody could step up and do what he needs to do on that stage. So
it was funny. Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers, I was texting with him, and the first question was like, "Well, who's in your band?" And I was like, "You're gonna be fine, Chad." And he's just, Chad's played with me here in Montauk a few times when I've done solo things. So he's a great, incredible musician, and he happened to be the first one that I saw when I got off the stage after the show, and he's like, "Get over here." He literally put me in a headlock, and nobody was there to see it. And he's like, "You crushed it. I'm so proud of you." So like you say, I think people, musicians of that caliber are rooting for those of us who are, getting going and releasing new music. So it was such a thrill.
Yeah. And Chad Smith too, I might catch some hate for this, but I think he's such like an underrated drummer. Like, I don't think many people think of, when they think of the Chili Peppers, they don't think of, wow, what a crazy drummer that is, versus like when you see him play, and like, I don't know, I've been seeing it all over the place on the internet now, like these things where he just like makes up the beats, like, and stuff. They like play him a song without the drum track, and he just does it. And you're like, that dude can play. Like, he is a legit player, you know? So, you know, that's really cool. I love that you have that relationship with him. That's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, he's awesome.
So talking about releasing new music, obviously that was the point of the parties, the album releases there. Since we last spoke, we mentioned Glitter Gold. The morning after the night before was the single after that, and now we're here talking about Look Both Ways. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was released along with the EP back in July. So it's been a couple months so far. So first, let's start with the song itself. So how did that song come to be for you, and kind of what was the inspiration behind that song and getting it out in the world?
It was a song that I've been working with Alicia Hoffman and Rebecca Lynn Howard. Those are my two producers, and I've done a bunch of co-writes with them as well as a lot of other amazing songwriters in Nashville. But that was one that Rebecca and Alicia had from, like, I'm gonna say like 10 years ago, and they're like, hey, I want you to listen to this song, like, one day when we were just kind of hanging out having lunch, and I kind of fell in love with it as soon as I heard it, and I kind of really related to it. I feel like it has like that no burn kind of vibe that you could just like listen to it over and over, and it has, I feel like, a little bit of the Celtic or like that songwritery message in it. I just loved it right from the beginning. And so Jerry Salley is one of the other writers on that song, and he's written tons of songs for like Reba McEntire and Chris Stapleton, and the list goes on. So to be able to cut that song was really amazing, and I just it's one of my favorites. It's like I said, I can just listen to it because it doesn't feel like it has any burn, and it's just a great melody. So I just loved it, and I felt like it kind of fell into the same message that I was trying to get out with the whole EP as like a whole project. It's taking a moment to look left and right at a crossroads in your life, and considering all the directions, and just daring to dream and taking chances. So I kind of felt like it kind of fell in with all the messages in the EP.
Yeah, no, I mean, from the production side of it, like, your voice is perfect for that song too. And you're right, it has that just kind of like roll with it kind of sound. It's like you said, there's no burn or anything. Like, it's a really well done song, and like I said, it fits your voice. You sing it great, so it's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it.
And I usually always, I know I missed last time, but I always talk about like the lyrical side of things, and the meaning and all of that. And yeah, that whole like crossroads, looking both ways. Like, I feel like that's such for me personally, I feel like the last like 6 months, that's all it's been. So I really resonated, but I appreciate I appreciate that there's something that I feel like I can connect to, and I mean, I guess that's the point of music, right? We want to connect to everything, but yeah, this song for me, especially like I said, the last 6 months or so, has really like hit the nail on the head, and has really made maybe kind of stop and appreciate I could like the options, but yeah, no, amazing song. I'm such a fan, and yeah, no, so good.
Thank you.
So yeah, so we'll play Look Both Ways at the end of the interview here, but yeah, what's next? Anything you got coming on down the line now that Glitter Gold is out in the world?
Yeah, I feel like after the release parties, I definitely took like a breath, and then it was almost sad that it was like, oh, it's out there. Like, you were like anticipating it for so many months, and you're grinding and you're working on it, and social media, which is a whole other thing we can talk about, which is its own animal. It's not just about performing, or it's like the promotion behind it. And that's like a whole other new thing for me, putting your life out there, everything that you're doing. So after I released the EP and had the parties, I actually like felt like, oh, all right, back to work, get back on the saddle, get back to songwriting. So I'm heading down to Nashville. I'm in Montauk right now, but heading back down to Nashville in October. Have a bunch of writing sessions already set up, and I'm excited to keep the journey going and the momentum going, and from Glitter Gold and build upon it, and maybe touch on different subjects and genres maybe in the next album. So yeah, I'm back to work and just gonna try to keep it going.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, I'm a fan. I already told you that from the first one. And like I said, any time that you can throw a little Irish twist into something, I'm for it. And but for our listeners, our new listeners that has just joined us in the past six and a half months or so, where can they find you and follow along on this journey?
Sure. Yeah, I'm on Instagram pretty actively. It's Kathleen Fee Music, as is my email address, KathleenFeeMusic.com. And I'm on Facebook. It's all Kathleen Fee Music. So it's pretty consistent. You can find me everywhere, and don't be afraid to drop me a line or a message. I love getting those messages, especially about when a song hits a person and affects them in a good way, hopefully. Yeah. I've gotten a lot of those, and I really love to get those messages. So you can find me on all the platforms.
Cool. And before we do get out of here, football season just started. Any Steeler national anthems in the works here?
I will say they did ask me to do it again this year, and I was like, it takes a lot of prep to get there psychologically and the performance. And I always try to, I've done it twice now. The last one was in December, and I never want to repeat exactly how I did it last time. So maybe I'll take this year off. I'm hoping the Steelers have a really good season, and they'll have me back again next year for sure.
Yes. All right, then last one on that sense then. So I know you guys talked about diners in the last interview as well. So this next batch of songs, I think a diner anthem, or maybe a video in a diner. I think we could get behind that, right?
Or like a Parkway exit in there, stick it in there somewhere.
Yep.
Well, I got to shout out to Clifton, New Jersey, because that's my hometown. So I'm all about the TikTok diner and all those diners. I root 46, so that's my home.
I'm TikTok diner I'm familiar with. So I grew up in the Saraville area, so I worked at Peter Pank Diner for 15 years before they closed, unfortunately. But the diner world is where it's at. Anybody that doesn't know that doesn't understand New Jersey culture, that is our culture. Right?
No, you need French fries with mozzarella cheese on them, late night when you're coming back from New York City.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Cool. So, Kathleen, I was going to say it was a pleasure catching up, but it was a pleasure actually meeting you and getting to chat with you this time around. As we kind of bring this to a close, we talked about Look Both Ways, but why don't you go ahead and introduce it for us, and we'll throw it on for you.
Before I do that, Brian and Ronnie, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on again. When I was on with Brian, we could have talked for another 3 hours. It was just such an easy interview to do. So I do want to say thank you so much for giving an artist like me a platform to talk about my music. And I just want you to know it means a lot to new artists like myself. Awesome. That you take the time to have these conversations with someone like me. So thank you, Brian and Ronnie. Nice. And I hope to see you again soon. So I'm going to introduce my latest single. It's called Look Both Ways, and you can find it on my Glitter Gold EP.
My heart is beating in the middle of a crossroad. Calling on the other side, right on the edge of go and don't go. I know one wrong step and kiss this chance goodbye. Look both ways, a heart can never be too careful. Sometimes you gotta dare the devil when you got dreams. true love calling on the other side.
All right, so those were our circle back sessions with Ross, Chad, and Kathleen. Yeah, I mean, it was awesome catching up with them. Ross, we go all the way back about a year and 8 months or so. So, it's always good to catch up and see what everybody's up to.
Yeah, that was super fun. We talk about how, or we just talked about how, when we stopped recording, how we able to like dive more into with the artists and stuff. And that's like the little niche stuff that I love doing. And, hitting it back up with Ross, Chad, and Kathleen after we stopped the interview, it was so much cool. Like we were able to dive into like a little bit more, personal stuff, and super cool. It's nice to have, friendly faces back on the podcast. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then those off-air things turn into more conversations, of more personal conversations. And I know with Ross and Chad, we talked about the you talk about your gear side of things, and Chad, we talked about the rodeo side, which we focused a lot on in his first interview. So we didn't dive into it in this one, but we sure talked about it after. And Kathleen just talking about the tri-state area and, what it means to us and her. And it was really cool. And again, that's why we do this. That's why we do it for 5 years. And I think it's pretty perfect that you said it going into it, the 5th circle back on the 5th anniversary of doing this show. And can't wait to do it more.
Yeah, man, it couldn't have worked out better. And we definitely want to thank Ross, Chad, and Kathleen for coming back on to Outside the Circle. Make sure you go and follow them on all their social media, music listening platforms. We'll leave you with one more huge thank you to everyone that has supported the podcast for over the last 5 years. So here's the 5 more. Thank you.